Welcome to O-Talkin' with Dave. Put your hands together for the pastor of positivity whose glass is always at least half full. Here's Dave.
Hey, how we doing out there? I hope you're doing great. I am top shelf myself. And so I had a lot of requests for versions of this particular podcast. And there's no way I can cover it in the 45 minutes to an hour that I usually do. But I just like to hit on some things around choices. Choices. We all make choices. And usually there are consequences to our choices. And by usually, I mean all the time. They can be positive or negative. I remember that show Bob Barker hosted way back when, Truth or Consequences. My mother loved that show. And it was real life stuff where, you know, it's not like truth or dare, but it kind of is. Truth or consequences. I believe there are consequences to our choices. And I've spent a lot of time talking to people through the years who obviously, and I'm not judging, but obviously made some bad choices. You know, they ended up on the street, homeless, jail, whatever. Usually, that's a consequence of a poor choice. And I realize you got karma, you got other things, I don't really believe in coincidences. That's another topic for another day. However, I believe good people are eventually going to win. I believe bad people are eventually going to lose. However, in between, we get caught up in circumstances a lot of times. The worst part is when those circumstances, if not good, are a result of bad choices. You know, you look at people that are happy, secure, safe, successful. They have very good friendships. They belong to a group, whether it's outside the family or the family. You know, they usually have strong ties with their family as well. That doesn't happen by accident. That's a choice. You know, I've always said, I heard it, but I agree with the fact that happiness is a choice. Once you decide to be happy, then you'll do some things and make choices that will lead to happiness. Again, generalities right here. I also believe failure, sadness. I'm not talking about clinical depression. I'm talking about sadness, weakness, frailty. You know, really all the opposites of those things I just said. I believe those are a result of choices. So it's important. And, you know, people have reached out asking about, you know, how you always seem upbeat and happy. Well, that's a choice. Am I always upbeat and happy? No. Ask my wife. She gets to see the other side of Dave. But it is a choice to be a certain way. So I get a lot of questions about that. How did you get this way? And I am no role model. But what I do believe, and we'll talk about it in this podcast, is there are some major choices we make. And even if we don't do it, we still made that choice. Then there are some mistakes we make. Then there are steps. If we're on the right path, okay, what can I do to get on that right path? Because it just seems so overwhelming. I can't see myself getting there from here. And then I want to end with, you know, a couple of things that I've learned from screwing up everything. I made just about every mistake you can make early on, and there's ways to get around it. So I want to talk through this, and then please reach out and let me know, those of you who I've let you know this is coming up, let me know if I hit the mark or not, or if you need more around this, or you have questions. You know the drill, and I'll give you the emails at the end. When you look at really big mistakes, I mean, our life is full of choices and consequences from those choices. But the really big mistakes that, you know, universally these are made, and people can say, okay, let's put them in, you know, 5 different areas. One of them, a bad choice is neglecting your health. physical or mental, neglecting that. You need some exercise. I don't mean join a gym. I don't mean run a marathon. Get active. Get physically active. Get enough sleep. Watch what you eat. Now, I'm a horrible example on some of these. I don't sleep much, and depending on the time of year, my nutrition may be less than desirable. But there's really no separating your physical and mental health. Now, I'm not getting into all of that mindfulness and all of the woke terms for it, but I can tell you, if you're not in physical shape, walking around physical shape, if you went to the doctor, and more good news than bad news, if you don't have diabetes, blood pressure problems, migraine headaches, something like that, I mean, general good health, not Olympic athlete good health, but if you're not in general good health, your mental health is going to suffer. So I think it's in that order more than the other. I mean, if your mental health is not good, it's not necessarily going to affect your physical health as badly as the other way around. So that's the one big choice, is neglecting your health. You don't get it back. The second thing is, on the finance side, people living beyond their means. Now, I talked about waste in a previous podcast, and yeah, we all do that. But I'm talking about accumulating debt to the point to where it is affecting you. There were times in my life where I had done that, and with business, owning my own business and different things like that, I couldn't get away from it. Debt is a burden. It is a prison. It is bondage. And I remember waking up in the middle of the night, and there it was. I didn't have a clean, clear thought without this mountain of debt hitting me. And that was part of the challenge. And a lot of it is not that necessarily credit card debt, running a business and going into debt to follow a dream. Do it. You got to make good choices around it and know that you're able to have it, to handle it. So ignoring your health, living beyond your means. It was said so many times to me, because of they would hear my accent and my Southern conservative values, that people come out here and spend money they don't have to buy things they don't need to impress people they don't know. That gets you in trouble real quick. And so I believe, honestly, I think they should teach finance classes in high school. I think, if you can be addicted to gambling or addicted to pornography or addicted to some of the things that they say you can be addicted to, I think you can be addicted to shopping. And online makes it easier, because I've seen people get in real trouble just with Amazon. We kid that Amazon should have a breathalyzer app on it before you can buy anything. But it's easy to live beyond your means. It's so easy. That's a bad decision, because that will affect your health. You'll be so stressed out. So ignoring your health, living beyond your means. The third one that is a huge mistake is staying in toxic relationships. Whether it's a friendship, a family dynamic out there that's toxic, just a romantic relationship, or if you're just surrounding yourself with negative people, it can absolutely destroy your own self-worth, your self-esteem. It will make you, they say, hey, wrestling with a pig sure is fun, but you're going to get dirty. The same way if you're around toxic people. Even if you can stay above the fray, it's still going to impact you in some way. So get out, deselect, address it head on. Because toxic people usually stay toxic. And then some people, they seek you out, and you're going to become either toxic or you're going to be laid to waste for being part of that relationship. Toxic relationship can actually make you live beyond your means. Say no to that person. And of course, it's going to affect your health. So these, so far, they're cumulative. All right? So don't ignore your health. Don't live beyond your means. Don't sustain a toxic relationship. And then the next one would be avoiding responsibility. And by that, I mean the blame game. You either blame someone or avoid someone or avoid a decision that needs to be made. All of this, it's not taking control. And you know I believe in taking control of your decisions, but blaming others for what happens to you. Blaming others for something that didn't happen to you because of them. You've got to take responsibility for your life. If someone else does everything for you, you can't take responsibility for that either. So this would be if as a girl, put on your big girl panties. That's it. You don't avoid responsibility. That leads right into living beyond your means. Take responsibility for what this. Responsible person wouldn't spend money they don't have for things they don't need. So they're all intertwined, and all of these can affect your health. And then I would think the last thing, and I see this more often, and this can be in different degrees of consequence, but being crippled by fear in decision making. This can make you not take a risk that you should take. Risk reward, you don't get the reward because you didn't take the risk, which is going to lead to regret over time, and then you're not taking responsibility for it. You're blaming others. If someone, you're in a toxic relationship and someone has instilled you with fear about something, it's still your responsibility. So all that's there. I mean, people, they let fear ruin their lives, and then they regret it later because they missed out on some happiness or some success or a relationship, or just, and that can be at work, it can be at home, it could be anywhere. But don't let fear cripple you. I can look at times in my past where, you don't want to be just risk everything. You don't want to be so frivolous that you take unnecessary risks. However, I witnessed my parents growing up. Sometimes they couldn't enjoy what they had for fear of losing it. There were times when it's things that just made sense. They didn't want to risk something small in order to possibly get something large. My dad, every time we go past a particular property in Muscle Shoals, he just shakes his head. And he tells me that same story. He had a chance to get in on an investment way back when, and it wasn't that big of an investment back then. But he didn't do it. He didn't do it. Be wise with your money. Don't live beyond your means. However, taking that risk, and it doesn't have to be monetarily. It can be putting yourself out there with ideas at work. It could be, making new friends, joining new social groups. That's scary. It's absolutely scary. Some people are better at it than others, but no one is completely oblivious to the fear involved in something, especially something that's unknown. But not many things are bountiful as far as success, or you're so glad you did this because it ended up really blossoming for you and changed your life. Not many of those things occur without some degree of overcoming fear, overcoming an obstacle. So that's the 5 mistakes you don't want to make. We could list 50 of these, and you have your own in your life, I'm sure, that may not be on this list. But don't ignore your health. Don't live beyond your means. Don't stay in a toxic relationship of any kind. Take responsibility for your life and your decisions and your accountability, and then don't let fear control your decisions. Those are 5 big ones. If you can address all of those starting today, you'd be in a good shape. So then there are also 5 important decisions that can positively impact or transform your life. So some of these, it's gonna be a little redundant it's not all. Just do the opposite. It comes into a little bit more detail. So instead of neglecting your health, prioritize your health. Take care of yourself through exercise, nutrition, sleep. Have a mechanism, a trigger mechanism for when you get stressed to deal with it and not let it snowball on you. Because this is the foundation. How your health is the foundation for everything that happens in your life. And so many of us, and I'll put myself in there, we got time. We've got time. They say the studies show that people with Alzheimer's and, different forms and dementia, they get it early. It starts early, like in 30s and 40s. It doesn't show up till later in life. And at that point, it's too late. Well, there's things you can do to minimize your risk or exposure, and do it early. Everything from just get some exercise. And, I'll splurge every now and then on my diet, and I have a very poor diet a lot of the time. I do. I like all the things that are bad for you. I can control it, and I have to be very regimented with it. Right now until May, I'm focused. First five months of the year, I can stay focused, and I usually phase into it and get really strict toward the finish line. After that, I may not. And there's things I do that I shouldn't. I try to keep them in moderation, and that's the key to all of this is a balance. So not just don't neglect it, prioritize it. Your health. The next one is, the longer I live, the more important I see this. That's why I talk about it so much on here. That is, choose the right people to surround yourself with. If they're supportive, if they're positive, if they care about you, whether they know you very well or they just want what's best for you. There will be people at work that they're positive, but also they want you to be successful, and they'll help you. There are people out there, and sometimes you have to take that risk to go find them or to meet them or hold on to them. But instead, that fear cripples you, and you'll just, hey, I know this person's toxic, but without them, I don't be alone. I'd rather be with a toxic person than be alone. No, you had not. So choose the right people. Positive people make you positive. Someone that can uplift you. Someone that can make you laugh. Someone that can, a song comes on the radio, you both sing the words like you don't, from your heart. You don't care who hears. That's just openness. I love that. I remember I had a friend who just saw one of my friends. We call him Big Bill Austin. He played football at UNA, and we were so smart. He's like 2 or 3 years younger than me, and we were in the same marketing policy class. So we lived close together, and he would pick me up, and we would go to that first class. I remember Dr. Crawford made us when we presented, we had to wear, sport coat and tie. He was serious. He was a lot more serious than we were. But here's this guy. I knew him, but we weren't best buddies. Well, we started going to class together, and then he would pick me up, and we would drive to school to that class in college. It was our last semester, and never really hung out with him that much before then. But we would go, and here's 2 pasty white guys driving, and this is in the early '80s or mid '80s, and I remember we put on Michael Jackson CD, or I think it was a cassette, and we would just sing. 2 pasty, portly white guys singing Michael Jackson like we were on Star Search or something. Star Search, I'm dating myself. But he was supportive. He pushed me in that class. He made me want to do well. He finished 1 and I finished 2. But that we had that camaraderie, and we were so comfortable with each other. When if you'd have told me a year before, hey, by next year at this time, you're going to be riding to school with this guy at 7 a.m. singing Michael Jackson tunes, you're out of your mind. I noticed his positive traits, and I wanted to hang around that guy. And that's how it happened. So prioritize your health. Choose the right people. Choose the right people. And then stay curious. Now, this is tough if you're not a curious person, but what I mean by that, constantly try to get better. Constantly try to learn new things. A quest for knowledge, I call that curiosity. Be aware of where maybe some things that you need to improve on, or things that you would like to know or learn or read, but you haven't. Build that into your life. It will lead to confidence. I can tell you, people, they say, the person who doesn't read is no better off than the person who can't read. Now, I'm not telling you to go read. I'm telling you to be curious and don't be satisfied with what you know. It drives me crazy when people live in such a small bubble. It's hard to talk to them. They haven't learned anything new in 20 years. You have the same conversations with them you had 20 years ago. It's at that point, you get so stagnant and you don't even realize it. And then everybody else's world seems so fast-paced. Oh, how do you get all that in? How do you have that much energy? How do you do that? I never stop learning something. And now, my goodness, I can't not know the answer to something. It drives me crazy. So, I'll take Google's word for it, but I got to know. We were talking this morning about how old do you think so-and-so is? We'll guess for fun because it's a game, but then I have to look. You were talking about somebody, I didn't know they played for that team. Who else did they play for? I know they played for so-and-so or whatever. Got to look it up. And so part of that is something's wrong with me. But also, I'm still curious. I still have a lot of questions. I don't want to bother people, so I do look a lot of stuff up. However, it keeps things fresh. They say everything, I'm afraid that everything, if I put something in here new, something's going to fall out the back and I'm going to need that later. I better hurry up because I think stuff's falling out the back already. So stay curious. Have a thirst for knowledge about it, the things you love. Learn more about it. If you play the piano, practice, get better at it, learn new songs. That keeps you fresh and new, and that you don't want your mind to get bored because something will fill it, and usually it's negative. Okay? So, keep learning. The next thing would be you've got to take control of your finances. Learn to manage your money. Learn to save. Investments, you can get help with that because taking responsibility for your finances will lead to freedom. It will. You don't want to get later in life and be constrained to all this because you weren't paying attention. And usually it's not your income. It's your outgo. But take responsibility for it. Don't say, I don't know. If you're a wife and your husband is doing all the finances, dig in a little bit. We've done that recently, Steph and I. If it's the other way around, find out. God forbid something happens and then you have to find out the hard way. But learn to manage your money and not manage what's left. Determine what's left. Financial distress is so common. When I do the getting to a good place process, it's health, it's finances, it's work, and it's relationships. Finances can destroy your health and your relationships and work. Take responsibility for your finances. And then, it's kind of like the first one. Take action on things. Even if you're afraid, do something. Do something. If you're worried about something, activity reduces worry. Because you're in the process of solving it. You're finding out more information. Okay, you'll worry less. If it's scary and you find something out didn't you need to know that? Okay, now you can do something about it. Whether it's managing decisions at home or work, relationships. a lot of these overlap. So you've been around the wrong people. You got toxic people. Don't not address it because you're afraid. Oh, I don't want to be awkward. Well, I've been my friend for so long. Your whole development from here on out determines how you react to fear on actions you need to take right now. Why won't you do them? If you can do it, why don't you? A lot of times it's fear. A fear of failure. Fear of, not really knowing. Fear of somebody making fun of me. But surely by now, that should not stop you. Hump on Bobo's nose, I don't care what they think. I'm going to do this. Glorious ambivalence. Absolutely. I'm going to do it because I know succeeding at this is what's best for me. And if I don't do it, the success either won't be happening or the degree of the success will be so much smaller. And the worst thing in the world is that regret over, I wish I'd have tried. I wish I'd have tried. I wish I'd have done this when I was younger. Now, what ifs? It's horrible. You don't want to live with what ifs. So those things, again, prioritize your health. Choose the right people to be in your circle. Have a thirst for knowledge. Continue to learn. You're going to find so many more opportunities. Then take financial responsibility for your situation. And it's, you may have to take responsibility for getting yourself out of your current situation. Yep, been there. And then do what you know you need to do, even though you're afraid. It's so common. And I know. Some of you are sitting there rolling your eyes. I can hear eye rolls. You guys didn't know that? I can hear eye rolls, and I'm hearing them right now. Thinking, Dave, you don't get it. I am in such a mess. Physically, mentally, financially. There's no hope for me. Or I just can't see a way out. I don't have the support structure. I just don't have any of that. I don't know where to start. Giddy up. You have to start. That's the main thing. And so here's 10 things that will help you right now. It's 8 or 10. I bullet pointed them. I didn't number them. A few things. When you get caught up in the moment and you're feeling overwhelmed, these are free. And you can do them all right now. That will help your mind get to a better place. First thing is simple. Take some deep breaths. Just doing that reduces your stress. Take some deep breaths and just take a minute. When you feel yourself getting upset, I feel there are times when I get upset or I can feel my temperature, my anger temperature rising, I can feel it in my temples. I can almost feel my heartbeat sometimes. At that point, I automatically, okay, all right, we're getting excited. All right, let's take a minute. If you take some deep breaths, it's proven physically and clinically to reduce stress a little bit because it causes you to relax. Now, you may go back to a tense space. A lot of people, when they get massages, they're so tense and they hold their breath. They got to relax. Having a good breathing regimen, take deep breaths, it will help you to relax and reduce your stress. Another thing, if you are, I've seen it so many times on Teams meetings or calls, when I'm talking business, and I guess I'm talking business on these podcasts, but when I'm, you sit up straight and look at and watch your posture, you're going to feel more confident. You're going to be more positive. You definitely look better. I know a lot of times I get in here and some of you said stuff, I'm just hanging out here. And I want these podcasts to be calm and casual and just like we're having a conversation. But if you need to feel more confident, sit up straight. Notice your posture. You're going to sound better. You're going to look better. And you will be more confident. That's free. You can do it right now. Go for a walk. Just a short walk. I remember at one point I had a house where it had a corded phone, of course, But I would always walk when I talked. It makes it easier with cell phones because you don't have a cord. But I would just walk back and forth, and I wore the carpet out right there. But even a short walk outside, to walk out of the room, but that can boost your mood. It helps for creativity. Another thing, change your furniture around. We do this constantly. At work, I would do it, when I had offices. I would do that. It's like you're in a new office. You change your bedroom around, put the bed against another wall. And I realize sometimes that's restrictive, but you change the furniture around, it's like a different room, and you didn't have to buy new furniture. Of course, when we do that, Steph said, what would look good over there? And we end up spending money. Or just declutter a small space. Clean out your car, but organize an area. Organize your closet. Organize your shoes. Organize your socks. Have a sock drawer and an underwear drawer. And organize that. You're going to feel so much better. It's going to be positive, and it's accomplishment. I know, Dave, I am almost bankrupt. I'm about to lose my job. And my health I'm suffering from this. And you're telling me to organize my sock drawer? Yeah. Yeah, because you can do it. It's free, and you can go do it right now. And when you close that sock drawer, you're going to feel a little bit better. So, because if you can do that, you can do something bigger. But you need a victory right now. Drink more water. How about that? Now, I love me some coffee, like Diet Mountain Dew. I like these particular Gatorades. Gatorade Zero. Not a sponsor, but they could be. I drink a lot of this stuff. I also drink water, but I drink all that other stuff because water bores the heck out of me. If you drink more water, there's no medical condition or future medical condition that drinking water is not going to help in some way. It's good for you. You're supposed to hydrate. It helps get rid of impurities. My goodness, when I hit 40, it made me start going to the bathroom 10 times more than I would have otherwise. However, there's a reason for that too. So just drink more water. You'll feel better. Replace something you shouldn't be drinking with a glass of water. Now, guilty. Well, David, you eat a pound of bacon every morning for breakfast with 3 fried eggs. Well, then I should drink some more water. It will help. It'll make you feel better. You will. It's boring, but drink fast. Thank people. Thanking people is free. And I promise you this, I put it to the test. If you look for reasons to thank people, you'll find them. You'll find them. Somebody holding the door for you. Somebody does anything. Somebody lets you go in front of them. Somebody hands you something. You go out to eat. You can thank them for bringing a menu. Yeah, that's their job. Yeah, but you can thank them. You will find, and there's triggers, anytime anyone hands you something, anytime anyone takes something from you, anytime anybody asks you a question that's for your own good, you can thank them. Once you start expressing gratitude vocally, it's catchy. Other people will start doing it. It's just manners. Please, thank you. Yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. And then if you can, one thing that I've said this over and over, my daughter and I, every Friday we email each other with three things we're grateful for or 3 good things that happened this week. We've got it. It's all in one email. She'll send it first because she's in a different time zone, and then I answer it. Well, we do it on the same email stream. So that thing's probably 3 years old now. But that's what we do. But it's gratitude. A great thing every morning. And it can change or it can stay the same. I highly recommend a little bit of quiet time. It may just be sitting down with a cup of coffee. It may be watching Sports Center. It may be whatever you do. But I usually like to have a pen and paper somewhere close by because I'll think of something that I'm going to forget if I don't write it down. But just jot down 3 things you're grateful for this morning. This morning. Not in life necessarily, maybe, I don't know. But this morning, you know what? I'm grateful. I feel well rested. I really slept good last night. Or I'm grateful that I don't have a headache. I don't have headaches, but some people do, and they really struggle. I'm glad my back doesn't hurt as bad as it usually does in the morning. Whatever it is, you can't have a wrong answer. But expressing gratitude is good for you. It's good for you. Another thing, this is almost like the deep breaths, but more for your body. Stretching. Now, I'm not good at this. I remember when I played tennis in college, it rained one day, and when it rained, you didn't play tennis. You went to the gym, and they would run your butt off. And then if you were really bad, they would bring in one of this particular one was the women's basketball coach, and she would come in and teach us how to stretch properly. I'll never forget it. I was so sore the next day from stretching properly, I couldn't play tennis. I was hurting so bad. So that's almost as bad pain as when my jaw was broken. It's horrible. So the suggestion is stretch and get, and loosen up. That will help you relax, much like the deep breaths. It's a nightmare, but I'm not talking about doing the athletic stretch. I mean, just stretch it out a bit. I know when I loosen my shoulders, I feel better. If not, I'm kind of tense and tight. So what it is, just take a few minutes. If you do yoga or Pilates or stuff, this is normal, but it relieves tension. It also helps your circulation. Well, there's a lot of things that happen because of bad circulation. The older you get, it gets worse. Just stretch it out a little bit. You don't have to do 50 push-ups, 50 sit-ups, and some jumping jacks. Just stretch. My wife my wife's a kickboxer now, which is a little bit scary. But I'll see her in there for, because they stretch before a class. 2 or 3 times a day, I'll see her doing something, and she's stretching. Something gets tense, don't let it be tense. Stretch that out. I don't care what your body frame is. That's helpful. So there's another thing. Reach out to somebody. And there's no excuse anymore. I mean, you can text them. You could call them. You can post on their social media. I suggest doing something specifically to them. But a text is so easy. I text so many people every day spontaneously. I see something that makes me think of them. Boom. It's really cool that I've started doing because I don't want to have to type. And 2, I'm driving a lot of the times. Make a video and just say it to them. That way they can see you saying it to them. And it has so much more personality if you just make a quick video of yourself. Hey, I was so-and-so and I saw that. I thought about you. Remember the time? And then blah, blah, blah. And da-da-da-da-da. Send them the video. There's no reason not to. You never know what somebody's going through, and that might hit them at the perfect time. I remember I sent one time, and the guy, he didn't see it. He didn't really check his messages that often. And then he was going through something, and he was in a really bad place, and he was scrolling through his phone and trying to get over this moment, and he ran across it like 3 months later. Because if I think of somebody from my childhood and I have their number, I'll probably send to them. I probably won't call them, but I'll reach out in some way like that. And it makes me feel good. It may make them feel good. It may not, whatever. It makes me feel good. And that's what we're talking about. And I said social media, so I'm going to sound like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth. When I'm off social media, I'm so much happier. So I don't suggest you get off because that's unrealistic. That'd be like me stretching like that crazy woman back in college. She hurt me so bad. PTSD from the stretching. Limit your social media. I mean, if you're on it 4 hours a day, cut out an hour. And you can look on your phone how much time you spent on your phone. And it all melds together. It's more times than you thought. And it may not just be social media, or it may be 5 different social media sites. I don't know. Give your mind a break. So I'm not going to be unrealistic. Cut back. Notice how much you're on it. Have some accountability there. My wife and I, there's certain times that put the phones down. So limit it, reduce it. We'll just say that, reduce it. Let's start with reducing. I had a friend who wasn't really a friend, he was a coworker, and it was in a machine shop, and he had a heart attack. He was like late 20s, had a heart attack. I'm not laughing at the heart attack. I'm laughing at the doctor told him he needs to cut back smoking to 2 packs a day. This guy smoked 3 to 4 packs a day. And so the doctor knew that he's not going to quit smoking. Let's just get him to cut back. So that's the way I feel like social media should be. You're not going to quit, but you can't cut back. And then, the gratitude and that covers a lot of this, but just spend some time thinking about what you're capable of and thinking about where you would like to eventually land on something. It can be career goals. It could be, what would be a perfect day for me if I didn't have to work? What would I do? I know we're not, genie in the lamp and something terribly expensive. How would I like to spend that day 10 years from now? And then that can help with some decision making and some planning. So that taking that moment and picturing yourself beyond current circumstances, if they're not the best. And I'll tell you, probably the best thing you can do, the cheapest, the easiest, smile more. Your effect on other people, you're going to be shocked at it, but just smile more. Get in front of the mirror and look at your smile. You probably need to work on it a little bit, Smile more, laugh, but smile. It's good for you, but it's going to be great for other people as well. 100%. A lot of you have told me, I feel like I'm on the wrong path and I don't know where to get started and I want to right the ship. And you really want to. This is not just, I wish I could. You really want to. Just a few things. You need to, several, and I hate to say you need or you should, because I tell people they shouldn't say that. First thing you need to do is just pause for a minute. And what's really making you feel off track? So it's one of the first steps of the getting to a good place process. What is the problem? And what's the source? Where's this coming from? And unless you can separate these out, you may be fixing or working on something that's not really the problem. So take a minute and think back. What's got me upset today? How did I get to this situation? And just take a second and do that. Because clarity is going to be the key to next steps. All right? Now, I've got to getting to a good place process, but that's to get you through today. How do I get to a good place and reduce stress, worry, and distraction today? Because I've got stuff to do. This is more of a, let's pause and reflect on things and then start. And the starting would be just small changes. One small thing. Don't try to fix everything. You can't fix everything. And the goal here should not be to fix it either. It's to start on it. One small change. I'm going to smile more. I'm going to speak to people. I'm going to say this. I'm really having trouble socially right now. It seems like everybody is so negative. You start being positive, and that will wean out all the negative people, and you'll see more positive people. It could be setting boundaries. One small change today is whatever that is. I'm going to organize my sock drawer. But then you make it a habit. Okay, what's my every day? If you do one small change, my goodness, at the course of a month, look at that. Look at that. And see, it's still going to be, you're going to have to surround yourself with the right people. If you need someone, if you want to get better at some particular skill, and someone, may not be a close friend, but someone who's really good at it, let me tell you something. Unless that person's a total ass, you let them know, look, I'm trying to do some things going on, and I really like to be better at this. And I noticed you're fantastic at that. Can we pick a time and I can pick your brain on this? I mean, how did you get so good and stuff like that? I mean, it could just be a cup of coffee or a break or whatever's best for you. That person is going to be flattered, and they're probably going to be more than willing to help you out. Those people are there now. They're now. I mean, we can go to friends and family and things like that, and that's okay. That's good too. Well, what you're doing is by adding someone else, you're adding more positive people to your group. And that's so important. So seek out these people. Stop making excuses. That's one thing to get better. Don't take ownership. Nope, this is me. I got myself into this. Or if you do something and it falls flat right there, okay, right now's the time to assess it. What did I do wrong? Why did I do that? I shouldn't have tried. It's never that you shouldn't have tried. Debug what went wrong and then focus on that. But don't make excuses. Don't blame it on somebody else. The more we control, the more we'll be able to control. And then lastly, all right, you're going to have setbacks. You're going to have setbacks. I mean, you're trying one thing at a time. You're not going to be great at everything. Everything's not going to be a success. If that was, why do you think Vegas is so nice? It's people failing. The house makes a lot of money. So when you do have that setback and you have a lesson to learn, and they're painful, instead of lumping it with other stuff, other failures, that gets all lost in a casserole, and you're going to go to a negative place there. Reframe it. Look at it as here's what I learned. Okay, the next time I do this, what went well? Okay, what screwed up? All right, remember what went well, but really remember where you went awry. What can you do differently? A lot of people with meeting people, they make a horrible first impression. Well, then they give up. Learn from it. And the next time, try something else. Because every successful person loses, and they lose a lot. But they learn from it, and you keep moving forward because you reframe it. Okay, all right. I remember the old saying, I'm either winning or I'm learning. You're always learning. Seek help. People love to help you. Toxic people don't. We don't want to be around them anyway. So those are important. Pause and reflect. Just make one small change at a time. Make sure you're around the right people. Seek those people out. Own your mistakes. And don't make excuses. And reframe setbacks as a lesson. What lesson did I learn? So I want to leave you with 3 things, just 3, that you can do today to become and stay more positive. Okay? It's not fixing everything, but you can do these now. So the first thing is control what you're focusing on. Continually shifting things, multitasking, the same thing. Control your focus. You can list, I talked about the gratitude, 3 things you're grateful for. What do I have? A to-do list. And focus on things individual, but you control it. Stay busy. You want to control your thoughts. You want to control your focus. By doing this, negativity is going to have a lot tougher time creeping in. The more negative you are, the less focused and successful you're going to be. The more negative you're going to be to other people. We're getting rid of toxic people, so they're not bringing it. Don't let your mind wander. So control your focus, number 1. Number 2, move. Move. I think one of the best things offices have done is the desktop that can be raised so you stand. Move. This can be something as simple as don't park right next to the building. Hypocrite. I love a good parking spot. If the weather's nice, park somewhere and walk in. At the mall. Whatever. Be safe, of course. If you're on the 2nd or 3rd floor, take the stairs. You don't have to take the elevator, but move. Take a lot of breaks. I probably walk more talking on the phone than I do, listening to music or AirPods or podcast or something. But move. You can work movement into your day. It will change the way you feel. It will help you sleep. Move. Don't just be a couch potato. And even if they have things that you can do, even if you're confined to a wheelchair, you can move. So control your focus, move your body. I'm not saying run marathons. Move. Get your circulation going. I mean, you can Google it. Somebody give you some examples of what you can do. Control your focus, move your body, and limit negative inputs. The toxic people, get rid of them. Get rid of them. But the negative inputs, news, my goodness, there's no good news anymore. There's no good news because it doesn't sell, I guess. Now, if you have positive outlets that you can check out, oh, that's great. Tell me where they are, because most of the time it's negative, or it's a take, or it's very opinionated. It's something. Limit that. You know, there's some things that absolutely drain you, things that would upset you. The social media, we've talked about that, but anything that can be negative, and replace that with positive, something uplifting. There are all kinds of books, and I don't care if it's TED Talks, there's podcasts, there's things that's uplifting. You know, you can engage with this positive environment. These people, they've been where you are, and now they got through it. Who better to listen to? These stories are great. You know, there are all kinds of motivational books, but also just good stories. A lot of times you can watch a movie and, yeah, you'll cry or you'll do, that's good, but there's a lot of negative in there to overcome. You know, the movies where the first 10 minutes is just carnage and the rest is revenge. Well, yeah, I guess I had a happy ending, but to go through all that. So an exercise with this is, you know, I keep the clicker. My goodness, I'm getting carpal tunnel from the clicker on some things. Still not making a lot of progress with the passing lanes in this past trip to Southern California, but I'm not angry. Notice when something negative is in your environment. People, news, music, conversations that you're not a part of, but you hear people being very negative. Just notice it, because the more you notice it, the more you'll be able to do something about it. You know, you may have to have lunch in your car. You may have to get away from certain environments, but start to notice it, and then you can plan around it. So that's my last three things. Control your focus, move your body in some way, and limit the negative inputs. That's going to be a good start. And then once you start getting some momentum, everything else will be a little clearer. Your focus is there. You feel better. And you're setting boundaries with the negative inputs. So I hope this helps. I appreciate you joining. Please reach out to me at dave@otalks.com or david@otalks.com. Let me know. Those of you who are asking about this, let me know if this hit the mark. If anybody, please reach out to me. But let me know what you think, and then give me other topics. You've done real good. I've got a list of topics, so I'm not going to run out of content anytime soon. But I appreciate you so much. The support's overwhelming. I feel loved. I'm surrounding myself with positive people, except for a couple of you. And you know who you are, Randy. So, thanks so much. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for hanging in there. And thanks for O-Talking with Dave. Giddy up.